Oh, we're all looking for somewhere to escape to, whether it's for the weekend or for a week or maybe longer. Sometimes we just need somewhere to kick back and unwind. And what could be better than doing it in our own backyard? Here to take us through some luxury lodges around Australia is travel commentator Nicolina Carufe. Nicolina, thanks for being back with us once again.
Always great to have you.
Thank you for having me. Today there's one common theme as well, guys. It's not just luxury lodges, it's luxury outback lodges. Okay. Somewhere where you need a little bit more time to get to, but it is well worth the travel.
Right, so when we say our backyard, we mean the back of the back of the backyard.
Backyard,
The outback of the backyard.
Australian backyard. So where are we starting? Flinders Ranges in South Australia. Beautiful part of the country.
Stunning part of the country. Not your usual getaway to South Australia. A lot of people heading there for the wineries. But this is a absolutely stunning area. Aqaba Conservancy. It is one of the most luxurious lodges in Australia. Now, it is actually set on a one-time sheep farming homestead. 59,000 acres, built in 1851. Very very traditional building style, and it's what I love about this, it's kept its character. So it is absolutely feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, but these beautiful lodges, stunning. You've got those pressed metal ceilings, you've got outdoor areas that are unfenced, so you're really one with, you know, the natural.
A lot of roos in the ranges there. They would hop right
there.
Up to you.
They call it an oasis of comfort and style amidst a harsh and rugged landscape. So you're not just kind of staying in your lodge, there's a lot to see around, but when you are in your lodge, it's a really great time. So you've got a beautiful kind of, there's 5 guest rooms here, each with its own character. They have ensuite bathrooms, open out to those shaded verandas, and they've each got individual views of different parts of the property. 4 in the homestead, and then one is actually great for honeymooners. It's out in the garden, so a little bit separate to everybody else. As I said, the best part of this particular property is this beautiful swimming pool overlooking the Aqaba Creek. As I said, unfenced, so you just feel like you've got the entire land to yourself.
And what's this work out as price-wise? I mean, it's a pretty beautiful location.
Okay, so twin share, you're looking at about $1,070 per night, per person, that is.
Wow.
When you're staying here. You do kind of, it is a really great atmosphere when you're here. As I said, 5 guest rooms. If you're not taking all 5 guest rooms for 10 people, then you are kind of mingling with the rest of the guests. It has this beautiful, cohesive terrace overlooking the ranges where everyone heads out for dinner as well. They also very much encourage no Wi-Fi, no technology here. There's no television.
I think it's nice to get away from that too.
There's no telephones inside the room, so they really encourage you to put your mobile phone down. You know, not because Instagram and Facebook are down, which was what happened this week.
I know.
But because you actually would like to just get away and escape and really enjoy where you are, which feels like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I grew up in regional South Australia, and those images really speak to me.
Yeah,
it is
really
a
special, isn't it?
beautiful place, a very special place.
A little bit different now. New South Wales, Lord Howe Island, and this place is very much a little bit more beachy. We're looking at a real beautiful place that celebrates the coastline. A pinnacle of luxury in the World Heritage listed island, Capella Lodge it's called, rests at the romantic Lovers Bay, very honeymoon style.
This is calling to me, look at that.
Now I'd love to see your opinion on this one, James, because it is very much the authentic Australian beach house.
Yes.
It has that theme. These suites feature kind of those lavish beach chic furnishing, generous decks, barefoot luxury at its best, they call it. Obviously, we're always talking about that infinity pool, and that is the epitome of luxury wherever you go, whether a resort or a holiday home or a hotel room. Stunning views of the coastline, as you can see, really celebrating that Australian beach.
If that's not putting you in the mood, everyone at home in the morning, it's time now. It's 9:53 in Sydney time for a wine by the pool.
Exactly. Very much known this area for its snorkeling, its scuba diving, its beautiful white sandy beaches, and these lodges really celebrate this style. You've got that beautiful high ceilings in the lodges, expansive outdoor decks with day beds and sun lounges, so you're really spending a lot more time outside than you are really inside. And the best place, or the best loft to stay in, is the Lagoon Loft, which has a hot tub on the deck.
Wow, it's just the definition of unspoilt, isn't it?
It is a great location.
But it's so expensive to get to, and with the Flinders Ranges, they're impossible to get to too. And Lord Howe, you've got to be dedicated if you want to get to these places, don't you?
Yeah, flights are a little bit more expensive. You're looking at, you know, even on sale over the $500 mark for a return if you're getting there. $750 per person in this particular lodge. So it is a little bit pricey, but as I said, it's very much kind of catered to the honeymooners. So those people that are willing to spend that little bit more for a bit more luxury.
Special occasion.
You're not going to go twice, let's be honest.
Special occasions, I don't know. Might call you back. Nice to be a frequent returner.
Maybe on your second honeymoon.
We go to Victoria now, to the Lake House.
Yeah.
This sounds like a TV series or something. What's at the Lake House?
A really serene place, this place. It's in Lake Dalesford in Victoria. A little different from what everyone's there for this weekend, which is, of course, the Formula One in the city.
Yeah.
But this
meow,
is
meow.
no noise. You're not worried about any noise in this place. It is called the Lake House, a beautiful place right in the midst of Wombat State Forest.
I'm trying to make sense of that picture. I get it now, but it was
the pool just blended off. Yeah, the reflection was amazing.
What's happening there?
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So this place really celebrates the forest that encompasses all of the lodges. So you stay in your lodge, you have ultimate privacy, ultimate luxury, but each lodge actually is connected to a walking track that leads you into the forest. So you're encouraged to get out there and enjoy the actual premises. And then come back inside. They do have a communal area which has a tennis pavilion, a beautiful library bar with those really beautiful deep leather armchairs.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely stunning. The lodges themselves absolutely immerse you in the outside within the inside. So it's really high ceilings, a lot of windows, a lot of open door areas. The waterfront pool studio is definitely where you want to be if you're booking one of the lodges here. It has the best views on the property, solar heated infinity pool. It's recently renovated as well, has that plush interior,
very
large,
plush.
comfortable king beds.
The velvet cushions now.
Beautiful, wide luxurious sofas and heated floors, and it also has dual showers in the bathroom and of course a bathtub to laze around.
Of course you need a luxurious bathtub. That's a great location. How beautiful is that?
Stunning. Let's head to another one of our favourite places, Tassie.
Yeah.
There's quite a few 5-star accommodation options in that luxury lodge kind of brief, aren't there?
That's right. Freycinet is a really beautiful area. A lot of luxury lodges are located here. This is called the Sapphire. Very impressive place and one of our most expensive on the list that we're speaking about today. Very remote area. So again, highly encouraged to remove yourself from technology, from everyday life, and offering the highest standards.
Look at
of
that.
luxury.
So stunning.
Beautiful. Their private pavilions are the most well-appointed suites. They're right kind of next to each other, so you don't have that ultimate privacy, but exactly like their views are just incredible. There's beautiful windows that really celebrate kind of
beautiful architecture, this one, Nicolina.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's stunning.
Absolutely stunning. So very sleek, modern design, floor-to-ceiling windows, incredible views. They call it distinct in its design, exclusive in its features.
I get a sore neck
Don't
eating it.
gasp.
I know. You know why? Because I'll be sitting there. We could have dinner there, Sophie, and I'll be sitting there and I'll just be staring up at the ceiling. And go, what? Sorry, what did you say? I'm just staring at the ceiling. How beautiful is that?
You get wrinkly feet sitting there.
Yeah, that's too much for me sitting right there. Very
always practical, Sophie. Always practical. I love it.
It's very, very beautiful, luxurious.
It's
and,
really great.
Celebrates the magnificent Freycinet National Park
I love
and
this one.
Wineglass Bay that
it's
surrounds
beautiful.
it.
And look, and you make you just want
I've
to...
swum in the waters down there and I feel forever cleansed.
Do you?
Well, there's just nowhere more pure or clean
No, of
than
course.
that.
We're very lucky to have a beautiful part of Australia.
Best luxury hotel in Australia by TripAdvisor for the last 6
Really?
years as well. So very much earned their title, yeah.
Wow. Now, we've got an epitome of waterfront living. I love that word. You don't get to use it enough. Where are we?
If you thought that was...
Glad you
this
didn't say
is
it
great
at the time.
architecture. If you thought this was great architecture, I want to know what you guys think of this place. It is called the Osprey Pavilion in the Southern Ocean Lodge, Kangaroo Island in South Australia.
Oh, I went there on Year 6 camp.
Did you?
Not that lodge, but to Kangaroo Island. Yeah.
What high school are you going to?
I'm going to South Australia.
School is
So,
taking you to this lodge.
Yeah, a lot of people were very sick on the ferry over, but that's another story.
Thanks for that image.
Yeah,
This place really celebrates those panoramic views of the ocean, white sanded beach, untouched coastal wilderness. Now, the lodges themselves have very unique floor plans. They're actually curved in excess of 120 metres square.
Definitely did not stay there on Year 6 camp.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so you're making sure there's just no edges in your lodges. Everything's kind of a bit of a curve and you're walking across the windows. You have a complete kind of, not 360, but 180 degree view of everything around you. Really beautiful.
Seriously, how cute's that?
You've got those open bathrooms as well with the views of the horizon, both hand-sculpted granite baths, heated limestone floors, deluxe rain showers. Everything is just taking luxury to that next level.
And you look like you're very well looked after by the staff and the chefs as well, by the looks of the footage here.
Very much so. Now, they do have rooms that accommodate families of up to 4 or 5 with an extra sofa bed, but mostly those, you know, 1-bedroom for couple rooms. It's very much a serene place to take, you know, your partner.
It's sometimes that romance and take the kids. They don't necessarily go together, do they? I love you kids, but...
Grandma, Grandpa.
Yeah, you're having a great weekend away at Nana's and we're going to Kangaroo Island.
Yeah, really stunning place, and of course very much celebrated in South Australia as one of the top tourist destinations.
Yeah, it is a very rugged wilderness, but absolutely beautiful. Now we're going to go to Queensland, another honeymooners getaway. Yeah,
very much a honeymooners getaway in Maryvale, Queensland, about an hour and 50-minute drive from Brisbane, this one. Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Gosh.
As I said, in the middle of nowhere, and that's what I love about these particular outback places. You just feel like there's no one around and you've escaped that everyday life. This place really elevates relaxation, privacy, celebrates gourmet cuisine, because within your accommodation packages you get a private chef cooking for you breakfast, lunch and dinner, really making sure that you're staying there and you're not worrying about anything.
That makes me... I'd happily have that.
Overwhelmed.
I'd have that just and stay in Sydney. It's just nice not to have to cook.
A lot of weddings have been hosted in this particular area as well in Queensland. They're 1-bedroom.
Like Skippy's house.
Their 1-bedroom is one of their most beautiful lodges, and it does have access to this beautiful infinity pool, private outdoor space as well, double-sided fireplace in the outdoor. You've got that right in that corner there.
Yeah, how nice is that?
I spotted that. Yeah. Looks amazing.
So good for both winter and summer getaway. So you do have that flexibility to go whatever time during the year.
I've never seen a fireplace like that I've seen double-sided ones, but not inside and outside at the same time. That's clever.
Yeah, very nice.
Very clever.
Good use of space.
And what I love about these lodges as well is they've still got that character. It's not just all new. It's got some great features and really great textures inside. You've got the stone, you've got the wood, you've got those white ceilings.
Great use of texture, I agree.
Really quite.
Do you know, have we got a price point on this one? Do we know where this
one is? This one is $1,899 per night.
So
very much so.
But call it 2K with a little bit of change.
Yeah, as I said, it is a bit of a package. You've got that food included, so you know you're buying an experience.
Service.
You're not buying just the accommodation.
And you know, we talk about these things and people go price points, but if you're having this special time, obviously for a honeymoon or an anniversary or a special birthday, if it's something like that, that money spent is so worthwhile because you remember that experience. You remember that forever, that amazing food with the scallop, with the chef serving you and that great view. You remember these things as an experience, don't you? So
very much
look at that.
It's absolutely stunning. And also about these places, because they are so remote, obviously you really appreciate the fact that they've come out here and built these incredible lodges that would have taken years to build. The luxury levels are just so high that, you know, you're not going to drive out here and not be able to experience it unless you stay in these places. They've provided that opportunity. So it's really beautiful and very much celebrates our incredible outback.
Important, and Nicolina, we always do deserve a little bit of luxury in our lives, and we luckily have you to bring it to us. Thank you so much, as always. You just really give us mouth-watering spaces. I still think I'm stuck with that wavy ceiling of timber in that beautiful, that beautiful location. Yeah, great so much. Thanks so much. Great, beautiful properties. Thanks so much, Nicolina.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicolina. The allure of making an extra $10,000 a year renting your spare room can be hard to resist, but hosting a short-term rental or Airbnb in your apartment block without approval could land you in legal and financial trouble. Adrian Mueller, partner with JS Mueller & Co. Lawyers, joins us now for more. Adrian, thanks for joining us once again. Look, how prevalent is this? You know, there's a lot of people getting on that Airbnb cash grab at the moment, but it's certainly something that could bite you long term.
Yeah, it's quite prevalent at the moment. It's very common in coastal areas and tourism hotspots, and in recent years it's become increasingly prevalent in inner city areas. Over the last 5 to 10 years we've seen quite tremendous growth in the area, and that's largely because online platforms such as Airbnb, Stays and HomeAway have made it a lot easier for people to rent out their apartments on a short-term basis.
Yeah, look, I'm one of those people. I use it when I travel overseas and sometimes in Melbourne myself. But is it the case that mostly these properties, particularly here in Australia, are unapproved? Is that something that you see?
It is. In most local government areas, particularly in New South Wales, offering your apartment for short-term accommodation or your house is something that's prohibited by the local council, or it requires local council approval. and it's very rare for a homeowner or an apartment owner to obtain council approval to get a listing on Airbnb and rent out their premises on a short-term basis.
What do you think the reason behind that is? Is it just the big sky theory, like, oh, there's so many of them, my council's not going to crack down on me personally for letting out, you know, the spare room?
I think there's a couple of reasons for it, Sophie. Firstly, most people, I think, are ignorant of the laws, don't realise that they need council approval to offer their premises for short-term accommodation, or alternatively, it's too difficult, too expensive, and they don't do it. Most local councils, as we'll speak about in a moment, aren't doing much about it. They don't have the resources to police it, so people are getting away with it. Your friends are doing it, your neighbours are doing it, so why not hop on the bandwagon?
What's the biggest impacts on a block that Airbnb can have?
On all neighbourhoods, the biggest impact would be the reduction in amenity resulting from antisocial behaviour such as noise, bad language. You hear ward stories about party houses with bucks nights, hens nights
and the like. So it's the extreme of the use that's really bad?
It can be. In apartment buildings, the problems are more common and more widespread. That's largely because of the close proximity of apartments to one another. So you can have damage to common areas in apartment buildings caused by short-term renters moving into and out of the building, damaging lift doors and the like. There are other problems caused. Parking issues, you have more people coming into the building, parking illegally in common areas, creating problems. And another big problem in apartment building is the impact it has on security, where the owners are making access codes and security fobs available to their short-term stay guests, and those are being copied or duplicated, and the building loses control over security.
And who's responsible when things do go wrong in those sorts of scenarios?
Well, the person responsible is the culprit. So it's the short-term guest who damages the lift door when they move their luggage in through the lift. The key question is who ends up paying for it?
Yeah, correct.
And in strata buildings, it's typically the owner's corporation who pays for it. And it can be very difficult to make the short-term guests responsible for it because they're gone before you realise there's a problem.
A lot of strata buildings are being very strict about these kinds of things, and I guess with some of the examples you've given, it's clear to see why.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of controversy in the strata industry about short-term lettings and Airbnb. The controversy has been generated by uncertainty in the law. A lot of strata buildings are introducing bylaws to prohibit short-term accommodation. There's uncertainty about whether that's possible or not. The government's proposing to change the law to allow it, but the prevailing trend seems to be not prohibiting short-term accommodation, but allowing it to be regulated by apartment buildings and owners' corporations.
And what power do they have to do that? I mean, if you're living in a block, what options do people have when they know that their neighbours or another block in an apartment in their block rather is doing this? Do they go to the strata and can they enforce any laws or bylaws on those people?
They can. So the first thing that typically happens is you report it if you're not happy about it to your owners' corporation. If the owners' corporation has a bylaw in place that prohibits short-term accommodation, then it can take action to enforce the bylaw against the culprit. That action can be taken in a court or a tribunal. The other avenue is to report a complaint to the local council and ask the council to do something about the problem. But really, local councils have limited resources. They can't police these issues on an everyday basis. And the prevailing view is that the councils will only take action where there's a serious problem that's causing a disruption to the amenity of a number of residents in the neighbourhood, not just individual apartment owners.
And this has implications for landlords as well, doesn't it? Because your tenant could be there in a set and forget property and you may not even know that they're then subleasing it again. How do you find out as a landlord, and what are your options?
It can be really difficult to know. Quite often the landlord will find out when the owner's corporation sends a polite email to them saying, do you realise that your apartment's being offered for short-term accommodation on one of these online platforms? Now, a responsible landlord in those circumstances will normally have a quiet word with their tenant and ask them to stop doing it, because in most states it's illegal for the tenant to sublet the premises without the landlord's permission. However, sometimes landlords just aren't interested as long as the rents are continuing to be paid. They're not prepared to take any any action about it. It can have other implications for landlords. Sometimes the insurance that you have over your premises won't cover these kinds of arrangements because the insurance companies consider that they're not residential arrangements but more commercial arrangements. So if if you have no insurance in those circumstances and something goes wrong, that can be a real problem for you if you're a landlord or an owners corporation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm presuming, I use Airbnb. We hardly touch the kitchen when we use it, so we are there to do something usually for work and going in and out. I presume that people could possibly jump online and search their own area and see if their property comes up. That's quite an easy way to find it themselves, isn't it?
It is. And when I'm advising owners corporations about this issue and they're complaining about somebody who's short-term renting an apartment in the building, the first thing I'll say is, well, have you gone online to have a look?
Yeah, great.
To see the listing? And quite often the answer is yes. Here's a copy of the listing, and it makes it very easy to prove the person is short-term renting in breach of a bylaw or council zoning regulations.
Even if there's no agreement in place, it's still a good idea to get the approval of your landlord, even if you think your landlord might turn a blind eye to it or wouldn't care a great deal.
It is. It would be risky for you as a tenant to start operating a short-term sublet business to generate some extra income for you, even if you only want to rent out 1 of 2 bedrooms in your apartment. It needs generally your landlord's approval, and if you don't get your landlord's approval, then you place your whole lease in jeopardy.
And you mentioned just briefly, you mentioned already that it really needs to be listed with local council as well. Is that the onus on the owner of the property or the landlord, I mean the person renting rather, if they're subletting, or the landlord that's going to do that?
It's really the person who wants to offer the premises for short-term rental arrangements who has to go to the council and get development approval if it's required. You have to remember, in a lot of local government areas, particularly in New South Wales, it's prohibited. You can't even approach the council to obtain approval to do it. You just can't do it.
Really?
There you go.
I didn't know
a lot
that
of
at all
people are
myself.
just ignoring that, I think.
Yeah.
Adrian Mueller, thank you so much for taking us through that.
Thanks, Adrian.
Pleasure, thank you.
We have got another live auction. Look at it, it's already underway. There's Jamil Aluche giving his preamble to the crowd there in Brunswick. Let's tune in and watch this one be snapped up any minute now.
Down the right-hand side, polished floorboards, absolutely high ceilings, cornices and fretwork that you'd expect in a Victorian. But as you walk straight through, again, you've got that open living area, functional kitchen, and yes, that bathroom out the back, laundry, and then you walk out onto an amazing entertainment space, all coupled with easy access with the right-of-way that you have at the rear. But again, think about the potential that you've got with this property as well, the extension, the renovation that you can put on this, maybe extend it into a 3rd bedroom, maybe fix the floor plan for yourselves to suit. The choice is yours, subject to council approval. But if you're buying here as an investment, interest rates are at their record lows. You can get a 5-year fix at the moment for under 5%. But if you're buying here to live in and you're stretching yourself that $20,000, $30,000 or $40,000, I want you to really ask yourself a question. Can you really put a price to the memories and conveniences you'd enjoy here for years to come? Well, buyers, we're here at 41 Hope Street here in Brunswick. I'm looking for a fair and reasonable start. Where can I see a start for 41 Hope Street here in Brunswick? It's a beautiful autumn day out here today. Happy to start the proceedings. I prefer it came from you. Can I see any brave soul to start me off at $750,000? Welcome to the bidding of $750,000, and I thank you for the first bid. Welcome and good luck. I'm looking for a $10,000 rise from here. I've got a live bid right in front of me at the moment at $750,000, looking for a $10,000 rise. At $750,000 now. At 750, 750, looking for a $10,000 rise anywhere at all. I should see a Mexican wave of hands at this sort of level. At $750,000 now. At 750, 750, there's awfully about 60 or 70 people in the crowd here all watching me at the moment. At $760,000 now, $750 I've got. At 750, 750, going to call it 3 times and test you all very shortly. At $750,000. At $750,000 going once. At $750,000 going twice. For the third call at $750,000. Well, let's keep it moving. $760,000 vendor bid, and the bid's with me at the moment. I'll only ask you to come back in for another 10 at the moment. Bid's with me at the moment at $760,000. 70 comes straight back in, knows value, says I know what this property is worth at $770,000 now. At 770, 770, at $770,000 I've got an evenly bid. Absolutely, this is cheap buying here in Brunswick, isn't it? At $770,000 now. Going to call it 3 times and test you all very shortly at $770,000. At $770,000 going once. At $770,000 going twice. For the third call at $770,000. Well, buyers, if you can bear with me a moment, I'll seek instructions and I'll be with you very shortly. Thank you.
Oh, stalled a bit there in Brunswick at 41 Hope Street at $770,000. They've just paused the auction for a moment. We're quite some way short of where online estimates would put the value of this property. Anyway, it would be sort of more in that $900,000 range that we would have thought we were looking at. It's a great little house, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1 car. Did sell for $375,000 in 2015. Prices in Brunswick went through the roof and then they pulled right back again. So Brunswick itself, I think, is down about 10% on what it was a year ago, which represents really good buying for, down 10.5%. On where it was 12 months ago. So the median value for houses is just over the $1 million mark. So you would imagine that this represents some pretty good buying at the moment, and I wouldn't think 770 would be anywhere near what they would be expecting.
No, I
today.
completely agree. It's a terrace-style home. It's got one common wall down the side, but side access on the left-hand side. 2 good-sized bedrooms at the front, leading down to the living and the kitchen and the laundry, etc. at the back. It does have relay and access where the car space is. So, as we heard from Jamil Alushe, the auctioneer and agent in this case, because his brother has a child due any minute, there was room to scope to change this and alter the rear of the home and maybe extend and enlarge and add extra bedrooms, of course, subject to council approval. So there's great scope to improve this property.
Yeah, I mean, I love it the way it is.
So do
I. Brunswick is such a great part of Melbourne. All the fun stuff right on your doorstep there. Yeah,
and you want those beautiful character-filled facades. As you can see, they've done a great job in presenting this home. A little picket fence there and beautiful attention to detail with the timber ironwork at the front, that lace work, and picking it all up with a colour scheme that's traditional. You can see the same on the houses on either side, but really you can alter and improve this property on the inside to make it change, increase its value. You can see there 12-month growth in this property. It's actually negative 10.5, so it has had a little bit of a drop in this area, but it's still a very popular space, and the vacancy rate of 1.1% is just reflecting just that high demand for people to want to live and rent in this space because it's a lifestyle area.
Yeah, but I mean, when we say it's pulled back 10.5% in the 12 months to November 2018. In the 12 months before that, it was up 13.5%, and in the 12 months before that, 17.5%.
Yeah. So
it's still great growth there in Brunswick, and that auction's back underway. Let's see how it's going.
Vendors reserve. Make it loud and clear when I call it 3 more times. There will be no late bids. So if you're waiting for the final part of the auction, now is the time. Can I confirm your bid, sir, is $770,000? Good luck, and I wish you all the best. You're in a very strategic position at the moment at $770,000, and we're off again. Again, this is the final part of the auction now. At $770,000, looking for a $10,000 rise in the crowd. At 770, 770. At $770,000, I'm going to call it 3 times very shortly. At $770,000, I'm not sure why you're waiting. It's been a very, very weird market out there, but this is absolutely basement buying here in Brunswick. At $770,000, going to call it 3 times. At $770,000, going once. At $770,000, going twice. I'm still in 10s. How about you give me 10? How about 10? What are you thinking about 10? I'm at 770 at the moment, looking at 780. It's only going to pass it into him at the moment. What do you think? If you give me 10, it's even better. Would it be amazing? Persistence beats resistance if it's your 5. I'll take your 5 if you want it. $7.75 and good luck. Happy to take 10 from you if you wish, or pay you the same respect. Was that a 10? $7.85 now. He says, I want it. $785,000. What are you thinking? $7.85. $7.90 now. $800 now. $805. We're on the market and we're for keeps. We're playing for keeps. You're in a very strategic position now. You might just buy this. $805,000. It is for keeps. $820 says I'm going to shake my tail off right now. $820,000. $825. $825,000. $830 now. $835. $840 now. I love taking orders. $840,000 now. At $840, $840. $840 against you at the moment. $850 now, ramps it up, says I'm up for 10, $850,000 now. At $850, you done? You finished? Surely. No, don't walk away. He's done. He goes, forget it. $850,000 now. At $850, $850, well, that's the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess. $850,000 now. Going to call it 3 times and test you all at $850,000 going once. At $850,000 going twice. For the third call at $850,000. Well, we're selling, we're sold. Congratulations to our purchasers, commiserations to our underbidders. Thank you for attending another AY Brunswick auction. Stay safe, please. Enjoy your weekend.
50, thank you. Well, there we go. We got it over the line.
That's more like it.
He's working hard. I'm sure his brother's there in the hospital with his wife, expecting a child. Abdul Alushe watching his brother take over the work and doing the auction here as well. Jamil, he got it over the line there, $850,000.
Yeah, great work. And look, a really good buy for someone there in Brunswick, because similar sales in the area as recently as sort of October for a 2-bedder, same block size, same everything, went for $965. So certainly the market's pulled back and someone took full advantage of that.
Yeah, correct. I mean, there's a price guide. We hadn't, we could have been just getting up to just over the $1 million figure. So I think that they did a great job. I think that's an amazing price and scope to improve that property as well.
Absolutely. And who wouldn't want to live in Brunswick? Now, Australia has recently entered into a per capita recession, the first time in 13 years. Now, this may explain why many people are finding it tough at the moment. Whether the country goes into full-blown recession or not, it's still prudent to ensure that your property portfolio can weather the downturn. Joining us now for her advice on how to stay afloat is Jane Slacksmith, Director of Your Property Success. Jane, good afternoon to you. Great to have you with us once again. This per capita recession, explain exactly what that means to us.
Oh, look, it's a term that people have come up with. You know, if we look at recessions, we haven't actually had a recession for 28 years. So I think there's a lot of interest in the per capita recession, but the reality is, Soph, we've got wage growth that outperforms inflation. We've got the lowest unemployment, and even BIS, Oxford Economics, says that they don't expect a recession for the next 2 years. However, having said all that, we are in a downturn. So, the mechanisms to protect yourself in a recession are exactly the same that you should be looking at now if there is a downturn in the market.
So what normally happens with the property when this situation happens? I mean, we are seeing pricing softening. We've also seen that greatly affected by accessibility to finance as well, though.
Absolutely. So what happens, in a full-blown recession, people start losing their jobs, and they start looking at ways to save money and improve the household income. And a lot of that comes down to selling the house. Now, a lot of people are sitting on a lot of equity in their current properties. I mean, we just, saw that, there's been 20-30% growth over a number of years in Sydney and maybe a 10% decline. There's still growth in properties that people have held their property for over 3 years. So what we see is people start selling their properties and rent. It's really the rise of the renter. So property markets could come down further, but we're going to see rents go up. But, we're going to have interest rate cuts predictably by the end of the year as well. So the cash flow of the household will improve. So I have my severe doubts whether we will actually enter a recession.
So okay, well, let's just go with the scenario that we do go into a recession. How important is cash flow through that period?
Look, cash flow is like the #1 thing that you need to look at, because this is going to allow you to keep your portfolio through the actual recession if it does occur, or any downturn which happens in the natural cycle of markets. So, you know, we're thinking about things like ringing up your bank and asking them for a lower interest rate. We're talking about going to your insurance provider and see if you can get discounts by combining your insurance. There's also, you know, with this rise of the renter and the potential rise of the rental market, it's about doing more regular reviews of your rental and making sure that your rental is at the market value. So there's a lot of things from a cash flow point of view that you can do as well.
Are there risky strategies that people should be sort of avoiding at this time with their property portfolio?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've just spent the last 3 months going through over 20 years of data of my successful clients, mortgage clients and students, and trying to work out what the behaviours they had. And I've kind of come up with a number of behaviours. You know, we've got the dreamers that get all this information but don't take action. We've got the gamblers that grab onto the latest shiny strategy and take lots of action. And then we have the achievers. You know, they have a clear clarity of goal. You know, they have courage, they have the information, resources, community behind them, and they act confidently. So, you know, when we look at the strategies that people are jumping to, the gamblers are starting to talk around, you know, we saw them go into the US market, we saw them go into NRAS, we saw them go into granny flats, we saw them go into development deals. You know, there's a lot of risk around these kind of bright, shiny strategies. So developments could lose their funding, and that's a great concern. So you could be investing in a development and then it doesn't go ahead in the middle of it. You could go into maybe an inner city apartment. Now there's concerns about inner city apartments as well, because, you know, it's kind of like a race to the bottom. When people have to sell because they're in this cash flow crunch, what they do is they set a lower price point, and what that means is that then becomes your market value. So if you have to sell, then you're actually going to be racing to the bottom. So that's a great concern. And then there's the untested strategies. These are the bright, shiny strategies that get rich quick. And it really concerns me that, you know, we've got a lot of people who might self-identify as the gambler. You know, they're quick to take action and they're on to the next strategy, but it doesn't always work out. So, you know, that really concerns me in this market, that people understand their investor behaviour so they can actually understand how to weather this storm if it comes.
Now, is there any such thing as recession-proofing your property portfolio? And if so, how's it done?
Oh, look, I absolutely think there is. You know, obviously I love renovation, and I think renovation is one of the major strategies that people can put in place. And there's a number of benefits. You know, I was speaking to one of my mortgage clients last week, and she was saying, you know, every house in her street in Perth has actually gone backwards in value. So, you know, we've actually got the fact that the loan is higher than the value of the property. But what she's actually done is renovated. So she's actually created an artificial buffer. She's actually, you know, being able to sustain through the market. So, you know, definitely looking at renovation, pushing up, you know, the rent and increasing the time that the tenants in that property really assist. So that's one of the strategies. But then there's other things. It's about actually fishing where the fish are biting. So looking for proof of past demand. So looking at these areas and considering, you know, have they gone up in the good time? Did people want to live there? And then I try to minimise my risk by making sure there's at least 30% renters in the area. And then, you know, buying the typical property. And I think this is what a lot of people miss. You know, we look at the typical property being the typical size number of bedrooms, being the typical block size, and just minimising your risk by actually having what the majority of people want. So there's definitely ways that you can minimise your risk. And then, you know, my trident strategy, go for the growth areas with the underlying fundamentals of growth. You know, renovate to add value and create that buffer, but also buy below the market. And look at the moment, you know, there's 50% clearance rates. There's so many properties that are up for negotiation. Discounting's like 8% in Sydney and 6% in Melbourne.
I get excited about the market when I see you and speak to you, Jane Slack-Smith. You identified one particular area which is sometimes just really not on the radar, and that's Bexley in Sydney. Tell us about this.
Look, you know, I had a chat to Domain during the week and said, you know, there's all these suburbs that were on Millionaire Row, you know, that aren't on Millionaire Row anymore. And Bexley came up as one of them. There's 12 in Sydney that have dropped below the million price point. There's 16 in Melbourne. And in actual fact, I was watching one of your auctions earlier in Hope Street in Brunswick. We just had one of our done for you clients that she spent 2 years trying to find a property in Melbourne. We found a location. We engaged a buyer's agent on her behalf. The buyer's agent actually said that they had not had a property under $1 million, 3-bedroom renovated in Brunswick that they'd been able to buy in the last 3 years. So there's so much opportunity. And Bexley's exactly the same. You know, Bexley, 3-bedroom house, this house here that we're looking at was 102 Glenfarn Street in Bexley. You know, it's on the typical size block of 300 to 600 square metres. It's a 3-bedroom house. It's nicely
Great
renovated.
character.
Yeah, and there's a big train station in Bexley. Like, it's a good accessibility to the airport, to the city. You know, it is a good suburb. You're right.
And $1.3 million it was selling at 18 months ago. You know, this is price quoted under $940.
Wow.
So, you know, that price drop is getting you into the market where you couldn't afford before. And I know that there's a reduction of being able to borrow. You know, we had someone 2 years ago who could borrow 1.2 million who's only just come back, and they can now only borrow 680, and nothing's changed in their circumstances. But, you know, they can get into areas that they couldn't get into 2 years ago as well.
All right, let's have a look at another case study in 10 Hawkeshurst Street in Yarraville. Why have you picked Yarraville out of the bunch?
Look, Yarraville's one of these other suburbs that, you know, was on Millionaire Row. You could never buy anything under $1 million, and now all of a sudden there's opportunity coming up. So once again, you know, a 3-bedroom property, it's on the typical size land. Now, you know, I love renovation and adding value. You have a look at this property, it's ripe for renovation.
Yep.
And
It's got your name all over it, Jane.
Not only is it ripe for renovation, it's got the pricing disparity in this suburb between the unrenovated and the renovated, so there's profit to be made. I mean, character kitchen, check it out. You know, you'd have to be in two minds whether to replace that, right?
Yeah, you've got to keep the wallpaper though, that looks amazing.
And this estimate's $920 to $990. You know, so you've got a property that was, you know, worth over $1 million 6-8 months ago, and all of a sudden there's an opportunity to buy in a good quality area that has had that proof, has had good rental demand, has low vacancy rates, and over 30% renters. You know, this is like tick, tick, tick.
Really good.
There's some gold dust out there if you know where you're mining for it. Jane Slacksmith, thanks for pointing us in the right direction today.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Lovely chatting to you again.
Our next live auction has snuck right up on us. This
certainly
is
has.
Forestville in Adelaide. Simon Tanner is the agent and auctioneer. Let's see how he's going.
Over to somebody else. Want to welcome you all and thank you for coming, and wish those of you who have registered to bid the very best in your endeavours to make this home yours today. Well, today we are selling under the joint terms and conditions of our real estate bodies here in South Australia, the Real Estate Institute of South Australia and the Society of Auctioneers and Appraisers. Those terms and conditions, along with the contracts, the Form 1s, have all been on display in our offices for the last 3 business days and here at the premises for 30 minutes prior to the auction beginning. They do act as binding contractual conditions, and the successful buyer at the fall of my paperwork will need to come forward and sign a contract under those conditions. There are no calling off rights in an auction. You do buy on a cash, unconditional basis. And the successful buyer will need to put down a 10% deposit of that purchase price today, and the remainder at settlement when vacant possession will be made available on the 17th of June 2019, some 3 months from now. Now, some of you have made variations to those terms and conditions in regards to deposits. Vendors have signed off on those, so all of you who have registered today can bid with confidence to make this home yours. When you do bid and buy in South Australia under auction conditions, you do need to be registered. We will have checked your licence, make sure it's who you are. You will have been given a bidding number. I do ask you, I've got a terrible memory, I do ask you to hold up your bidding number every time you bid so we can call it and record your bidding number. The girls over here will record it for us so we know who's bid. So the other buyers also know who they're bidding against. Auction is absolutely fantastic. The 3 T's of Tanner are trust, transparency and teamwork. And so we love an auction because it is transparent. You know exactly who you're buying against. You know you're buying market value because someone's been prepared to pay very close to where you bought the home for. So it is very transparent here in South Australia. Now, when you do buy into auction conditions, it's a cash unconditional purchase. As I said, you do have a registrable interest in that property. So you will need to take out a cover note today to cover your interest in the property right up until settlement. We are subject to a reserve price. The reserve price is extremely realistic. I do believe we will reach that, but just in case we don't, I do have what we call 3 vendor bids. I will call them as vendor bids. I'll be bidding on behalf of the vendors just to keep the auction moving in the right direction, so you know that we're getting close to selling it. I can't go above 3 of them. I can't bid at or above the reserve price. I'll always be below, but I don't think we'll need them today. Well, let me describe the property for you. It's described in Certificate of Title, Volume 5525, Folio 555, Allotment 81, as defined in Deposited Plan 1878 in the area named Forestville in the 100 of Adelaide, situated at, and known by all of you now, as 72 3rd Avenue, Forestville. The included chattels and excluded chattels are as per the contract. Included are built-in furniture, window treatments and fittings, fixed floor coverings, light fittings and dishwasher. Excluded are the vendor's personal effects and chattels, garden pots and ornaments, loose floor coverings, freestanding furniture, the barbecue and hire furniture. There are no known encumbrances, easements or any other matters affecting the title. We are in the city of Unley. The zoning is RS (BF) residential streetscape built form 9.2 policy area 9. The house was built back in 1910, a time when craftsmanship was quite amazing, and boy has it stood the test of time. We are on a whopping 914 square metres, with the home set to the front of the block, giving you this wonderful backyard. Heaps of space for the kids to play, the dogs to run wild, and to put your pool in should you so choose. I think many of you want to. Council rates are approximately $2,618 per annum. And just a reminder that settlement is set for the 17th of June 2019. Are there any questions? Well, that's great. We've done our job. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty very, very shortly. I just want to remind you of a few of the finer points of the home, just very, very briefly. In one family, I'm just going to remove my jacket because it is so hot, so I've got you all in the shade. I was going to have you all out here. I thought that'd be cruel. Thank you, Beck. So one family for over 22 years. This is a highly, tightly held area. Not a lot of homes in Forestville, as you've come to know, with the comparable sales that we've provided. You do have to look a little bit further afield to get some comparables. But what a great home. Absolutely stunning return veranda, stone-fronted villa with beautiful high ceilings and polished timber floorboards. This magnificent extension with the fabulous kitchen here, which overlooks the backyard and lends itself to wonderful parties and entertaining as it opens out to this alfresco area, and of course the open plan dining and lounge room there as well. You've got the enclosed shed there, which is a third living space, which is just awesome. You've got the blinds here at the back for year-round entertaining. You've got this wonderful space out here with these great lawns and this fabulous back shed with power in it as well for all your storage needs. Heating and cooling is taken care of, as you're aware. You've got the master bedroom with the ensuite. You've got bathroom 2, the main one in the centre of the home there. And of course the third bathroom and third toilet in the laundry area. What a great opportunity is here today. I just want to remind you that if you've registered to bid, this is your chance to take out a lot of the market for those who can't bid and buy on an unconditional basis. You do have a great advantage here today, so I do want to encourage you to bid with confidence, to get off that realestate.com domain wheel and make this home yours today. So ladies and gentlemen, I open up to you now for your bidding, where the property will sell to the highest bidder at or above the reserve price. Who wants to get me started with an opening bid? Always very silent at auctions. No one ever wants to get things started. Can I suggest 900 as a cheeky start? We won't finish there, I can guarantee you, but just 900, number 22. Welcome Sam to the bidding and best of luck today. Can we do a 25k rise from there? Looking for 925. Number 69, 925, 950, 950 is 975. It's over here now, we're at 950, 975. Looking for 975, 1 million. 1 million it is. Do we have a 1,025,000? Or should we do 50s at this stage? 1,050,000? 25 again? 25 it is. 1,050,000, Sam? Yep, 1,050,000 it is. We're still here in the centre at 1,050,000, looking for the 25 rise, or 1.1 if you like. 1.1? Jump in there. A big bid's a good bid, they say. What about $1,075,000? Just hold it up, $1,075,000 it is, 1.1 Sam. 1.1 it is in the middle. 1.1 in the middle, number 22, we're at 1.1. Do we hear another 25? 1125, 1 1/4. Looking for 1 1/4. First call, second call, third, and final call. Here in the centre at 1.1. Do we have a further 25? Yep, where are we? Number 7, welcome to the bidding, and best of luck, sir. $1,025,000, 1050, 1150, Sam. Nope, we're at 1125 here at the back. 1125. Do we hear $1 million? Yep, just here number 2. 1150. 1150 we've got. Do we hear 1175? So hold up nice and high for me. We're at 1150 over here to my left. 1150. We're at $1,150,000. 150 looking for that 175 if you like. I'll call it down 3 times. First call. In the centre here. 160 it is. I'll take your 10 there, sir. We're at $1,060,000. 10 again. 70. Think about it, no problem at all. Is that a bid, young lady? She's bidding for you, Sam? She's not bidding. Are you sure? I'll take it from anybody. We're at $1,060,000 here in the centre. Do we have $1,070,000? Looking for $1,070,000. First call. Second call. Third and final call. Are we all done at $1,060,000? Looking for a rise on $1,060,000? 1160, I beg your pardon. Thank you, girls. Almost gave it away, didn't I? We're at 1160. Yep. 10. 10. 117 it is. 117, 118. 118. Gonna think about it, that's okay. Whilst you think about it, I might grab a quick drink. Oh. We're at 1170. Yep. Looking for 118. Thirsty work today. Oh. We're at 1170. Down the front, is that correct? Number 22? 1170. I'm going to call it 3 times. Don't miss out today. The keys are in the hands here at the front of the property, right down here in the seat. First call, second call, third and final call. We all done? We all, yep, 10. Take your 1180 at this stage. 10? 10 it is, 1180. Number 2, number 8, number 8 it is. Number 8 is going to shut the gate at $1,180,000. 1,180,000. 1190, Sam? Round up to 1.2 if you like. You will go to 90. 90 it is at the front. 1190. Looking for the 1.2. Looking for the 1.2. Excellent buying at 1.2. 900 plus square metres. 3 minutes from the CBD, if you're quick. 3-minute walk to the tram and then a nice easy ride in. Absolutely fabulous spot. To remind you that we're in the Adelaide school zone for your kids at school, you don't get much better. What a great location. Great cafes just around the corner. We grabbed some coffees on the way here this morning. Absolute ripper, easy walk. We're at 1190, looking for the 1.2. Are you in? Take your 5, 1195, 1195, number 8. 1.2. Come back quick and fast. 1.2. Yep, 1.2 at the front, number 22 at 1.2. We're at 1.2 with number 22. Do we hear 1.3? Why not ask for it? We're at 1.2 at the front. Looking for a rise on 1.2. If you've got your hands in your pocket, if you're thinking about it and you've been here over the last few weeks, you know what a fabulous home this is. You've been looking on the market at the other homes that are selling. This is great buying. Do not miss out today. Do not second guess yourself and go home disappointed. We're at 1.2. I cannot emphasise it enough. We're at 1.2 in the front. I'm going to call it down 3 times. First call. Second. Third. Take your 5. Take your 5 it is. 1.205. Number 8. 210. 1.205 here in the centre. 1.205. 1205. Looking for a further 5 or 10 if you like. Good bid's a strong bid. That's what I say. We're at 1.205. Do we have 210? I'll call it 3 times. First call. Second call. Third and final call. At 1205. Are we all done? Are we all silent? You're out? We all silent at 1205? There's quite a few of you who have still registered but not bidded yet. It's not too late to come in. All you've got to do is raise your number and you get involved. It's a great thing to do at an auction when you want to buy a home. We're at 1205 here in the centre. Going. Hold with me for 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. Have a talk amongst yourselves. We're at the pointy end of things. We'll be back very, very shortly.
Well, after a little bit of a patient, calm and beautifully softly spoken intro to this auction,
he lulled us into false sense of security.
Simon Tanner bursted through the gates and got a very active bidding process happening. We started off there at a vendor bid where we thought, well, it's not going to be sort of stifled for a little while, 925, and it definitely got up there then. He's managed to pull it really up there with quite a few bidders obviously playing off each other. We're currently sitting at $1,205,000 for this property, which is quite amazing. I've got an estimate value of about $800,000 with research for this one.
Yeah, there's those online tools put the value at about $800,000. Clearly they were well out on this one. It is a beautiful home on a big block, 5-bed, 3-bath, 4-car. And Forestville, obviously a great suburb. There have been some impressive recent sales around there. Lots in that sort of 800 plus mark, but certainly nothing within cooee of where the bidding sits at the moment. The pause in the auction here, I would imagine, is a formality because that is some pretty strong bidding just there. We had an auction in Adelaide earlier in Kingswood, which is a prestige suburb of Adelaide, and that one was passed in. So you really never know what's going to happen under auction conditions.
Never know unless you watch. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 4-car property, and it's a good block of land, 914 square metres block of land. But you can see there the vacancy rate 0.7, which is amazing. So it's really quite hotly contested demand, and even days on market there average 31. Not a lot on the market, so it clears quite well, and this has been showing quite strong demand for this one. It's interesting too, we've got the passion of Simon Tanner, who is agent and auctioneer, so he very much knows this property, knows the journey of people who have been coming through and inspecting the property, and very much knows the vendor's wishes and direction as well. So that's why he's really quite in control of this auction.
And that's pretty impressive to see. There's almost 2,000 visits per property on a state average of 763 visits per property. That data from realestate.com.au, just indicating possibly one of the reasons why bidding has been so strong there today. The house that we were talking about in Kingswood, which isn't all that far from Forestville and is not all that dissimilar to Forestville, it was passed in, but it was completely unrenovated since the 1950s. This probably plays into your hands, James, seeing something that's well styled, well renovated, going gangbusters. Well,
it's just appealing to a broad market. I mean, this is beautifully styled to create character. We talked about contrast a little bit earlier on the show you would have been watching. It's really great. Looks like Mr. Simon Tanner is back out, and we're going to see where this one's going.
Fantastic crowd. Just spoken with my vendors. There's incredible mixed emotions in there. This has been their family home where they've raised their kids for the last 22 years. And it's kind of with mixed emotions that they're selling today, obviously. But they have instructed me to put it on the market. We're at 1205. If there's no further bidding, the property is going to sell today. So if you have been double guessing yourself, if you have been thinking about it, now is not the time to hold back. Now's the time to put your best foot forward. Number 72 3rd Avenue here in Forestville will be sold today. I can't put it any more clearer than that. I'm going to call it one more time for your bidding. Do I have another fight from you, sir, at the front? You sure you're out? Take your cheeky one if you like. I'll talk to Phil. We'll sort it out. I'm going to call it down 3 times. Down the back there. You out? Yep. Over here to my left. Is he gone?
No, here.
Oh, you're out? Okay. There's quite a few of you haven't put your hand up yet. It's not too late to come in if you've registered. All right, I'm going to call it down 3 times. We're at 1205, 1,205,000 for 72 3rd Avenue, Forestville. First call, second call, third and final call. We all done? We all silent? No further bidding. No further bidding. Sold. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much today for your attendance. For those of you who have bidded, thank you so much for your attendance, participation as well. We wish you the very best of luck in your search for a home, and we certainly can help you out with some new properties coming to the market.
I thought that pause was just for show. We knew it was going to. Yeah, what an extraordinary result.
It was a great result.
So far above the median for the suburb. We seem to have lost our feed there from Adelaide.
Yeah, well, they did a great job, though. We've got to congratulate our camera crew today. We have ladies and men on site all around the country doing 7 auctions today, and they do an amazing job bringing us that great footage. Beautiful result, as you said, $1,205,000.
Yeah, the median value in Forestville is $792,000, which is down 4.7% in the past 12 months. So very strong result there at a very strong auction. Simon Tanner was commanding his attention there. You couldn't look away from him for a moment.
Look, it had that beautiful character on the outside, which we sort of come to expect from Adelaide, South Australian homes. Beautiful stone front, but also really well presented inside. Great styling, good sized block of land at 914 square metres, and a large home too, 5-bedroom, 3-car and 3-bathroom rather, and 4-car. So there was a lot to offer for this one. There was also a shed, powered shed and workshop and gym. So the property itself has some great interest. How's that figure there? Last sold for $287,000.
Yeah,
they've done really well.
I was saying it'd been their family home for a long time, and they've got some mixed emotions about passing it on, but I imagine $1,205,000 would help them resolve some of the mixed feelings they might.
Those mixed feelings are going to go into a nice mixed drink, and they're going to be celebrating. It is important to remember, of course, that we are dealing with real estate that a lot of people use for investment, but these are people's homes that they live in, and they raise families, and they, it's part of their character, and they live in a neighbourhood, and it's all those things that we love. And so we wish those people well with their mixed emotions that they've sold their property, and I'm sure they're going to go on to another property journey. It's an exciting time.
Oh, you're such a sensitive, thoughtful guy, aren't you, Jane?
Thanks so much.